Welcome back, everybody, to a new episode of Inside the Dome. I am John Dodaro. I am joined with the one and only Carlin Jacob today. Carlin, it is a new week for us. How have you been in this new week?
I'm pretty good, dude. It sucks. Yesterday was the first day, well, for us. Sunday was the first day without football.
It was.
Very
Oh,
unfortunate.
man. It was
Though
sad. It was sad.
we had other sports going on, so we could tend to that. And I mean, honestly, though, I love football dearly, but baseball's starting up, hockey's in full motion, same with basketball, obviously. UFC, there's golf. We get the Olympics coming up soon. We got a lot to talk about. It's not like football was just our only thing to talk about. We're actually going to talk about more now. And obviously, we got football updates for you as well. But I can't wait to get into other sports.
Yeah, I can't get wait into all these other sports. And what's crazy, too, with this episode, it's 1 hour, and it's not dominated, from what I'm looking at, it's not dominated by one sport, particularly football. We have a nice blend in today's episode.
Everything.
So I like it. I like it when football kind of dies down a bit, and then we could kind of talk about some of the other
Everything
big
else.
stuff that's happening. So I'm excited for this episode. We'll try to get as much as we can in this hour. So, and also hello to the people who would be watching us on YouTube, which should drop on Wednesday as well. So you can see our faces on YouTube right now. So hello to all of you on YouTube. But let's get into it, and we still start with NFL news first. So not too much in the NFL this week. It's going to be pretty quick. Coach updates. We've been doing it for the past couple of weeks. No official coach updates, but there were rumors at one point, I think over the weekend. Also, too, because Under the Lights last week was later into the week, this is only covering like 4 to 5 days. So there wasn't like a huge gap in between episodes. So a little disclaimer there. But a little rumor that was going on. Brandon Staley potentially to be the next Niners defensive coordinator. Obviously, last week they fired Steve Wilkes as their defensive coordinator. I covered that last week. Brandon Staley, potentially a defensive coordinator for the 49ers. Not confirmed yet, but it is rumored. And Staley, the former head coach of the Chargers, oh, that did not go well. But he was a former defensive coordinator at one point in his career. Could he be a defensive coordinator again? Carlin, if he were to go to the Niners, would you support that?
I mean, defense is his thing. Leading it. I mean, here's the thing. We crap on every head coach who leads a team and doesn't do a good job. And Stanley's team obviously didn't do well. But some guys are just built for a position, like an offense coordinator, defense coordinator. Some people aren't built for the head coaching job. He might be one of those guys. We'll have to see if he actually does get picked up by a team and how it goes. I mean, the Niners have a great defense. They really do. But could it make it worse? Could it make it better? We'll see. But I'm telling you this right now. If they play the Chiefs again in the Super Bowl and they get held and no holding penalties called against the Chiefs, it's not going to matter. So,
Oh, man. Yeah, what's interesting, though, with the Niners' defensive coordinating position is it's generated head coaches. And I covered this last week when I was talking about Steve Wilkes. But before Steve Wilkes, you had Robert Saleh, who would eventually become a head coach, and then D'Amico Ryans, who would eventually become a head coach. So then after D'Amico Ryans, they got Steve Wilkes, who was the interim head coach for the Panthers the year before. But that didn't work out. So if they were to go to Staley, my only fear is that Chargers defense, which he called too, he called the Chargers defense, was terrible.
yeah,
Terrible
pretty
with the
bad.
talent that they had. And the Niners have incredible talent as well. And it does scare me. Maybe he does better as a coordinator. That happens. Like at Steve Spagnuolo, for example. He was a bad head coach too. But there's a lot of examples of that. But I don't know. It's not my go-to just with how bad he was with the Chargers. It's not even close to
The,
a good job with the Chargers.
the only way you could defend it is if he was worried too much about other things than besides the defense. This, he would only be focused on the defense, but still, you're a defensive head guy. You should be more defensive head in mind when it comes to your defense. And the Chargers defense wasn't that. So we'll see.
Yeah, we will see. Maybe next week we'll have an official confirmation on Brandon Staley, but we will see. Also, in the NFL, we will start covering a little free agent frenzy going on. But this week, not that eventful, but I heard one signing that happened. Ravens signed Nelson Aguilar to a 1-year deal. They extended him, the wide receiver, like 4 or 5 on that team. Gets an extension, 1 year. It's the lowest of lows for free agent frenzy for this week. But hey, had to report it. Any thoughts? Nelson Aguilar staying with the Ravens.
It's not going to change the Ravens' offense. Let's be honest. Like, this team's not winning the Super Bowl. Okay, jokes aside, they had a pretty good shot. I mean, obviously, if they could get everyone back, they could run it. But they lost their defensive coordinator, obviously. They saw their offensive coordinator, which he's great. Obviously, we saw it happen. But this is just one step. They still got OBJ, who's going to hit the free market. There's a bunch of other people who's hitting the free market. So make sure you stay tuned to see what happens across the league.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's going to be our next kind of weekly thing. We covered all the head coaching changes, and other coaching changes. Free agency will be the next thing that we cover on a weekly basis. So definitely stay tuned for that. But also, another thing that's coming soon. It's not going to be next week, but it's going to be the week after, end of February going into March. The Combine is happening soon. And it's going to be a time where you can see who stands out, who doesn't stand out. But what are your thoughts in general with the Combine? Because do you think it's like truly a sign of like how good a player is? Do you think it really impacts players in general? What do you think about the Combine?
I saw a thing where everyone's telling their like the agents are telling their players not to take that test that CJ Stroud bombed.
Oh yeah.
Because it doesn't prove anything. I mean, yeah, the combine definitely helps, but then again, if some people are invited, it's not going to help you. I mean, you guys just show out, you know? You really do. It's like one of those things you have to be invited to. Do you like watching the combine or no?
It only for like the quarterbacks and receivers. That's it. Those are the only,
or whatever
those are
position
the
the
only
Steelers might
groups.
get.
Yeah, like if it's something the Steelers would need, then I'll look at it. But I don't even watch like the defense that much, like corners or any of that.
Truthfully, it bores me. I can't sit there and watch these guys running on the field, like not playing football. Let's put it that way. It's just. I mean, I think it's a great idea for the players who are trying to get drafted and the teams looking for people, and the analysts and ESPN and stuff. And don't get me wrong, I'll be watching it this year just so we can talk about it on the podcast. But it's not like this is like the biggest fun thing in the world. It's meh. Yeah. Also, real quick, do you have anything else you want to say about the combine?
For the combine, we'll cover it more next week with like who's in it, probably, because we still got another week before it happens. But I don't think the combine can really hurt players, or at least it shouldn't hurt players. I think at most it could help players who are like on the bubble or like 4th, 5th round picks, like a Puka Nacua of sorts. Yeah. But I don't think you should treat the combine as like a negative to a top player. Like, let's say they don't have the best stats. You shouldn't look at that. Look at their game experience more. I think that's more important. But
especially because players can have off days.
That too.
100%.
That too.
Obviously coming up in April we'll have the draft, and John and I cannot wait to talk about the draft because we'll be talking swole things of football. I don't know when the date is off the top of my head. I know it's a weekend and it's in Detroit. Wow. John's probably Googling the dates because I have a feeling he is. The Steelers no. The Steelers have officially put in a bid to host the draft in 2026 or 2027. John didn't put this in the notes, but I just remembered it. John, will you be there if it comes to Pittsburgh?
Oh, yes, I will definitely be there, no matter what.
Dude, we're getting invited. We're not like showing up. We're getting invited. I'm telling you that right now. We will be invited. to the NFL draft
Oh
when it
yeah.
comes to Pittsburgh. I hope they put it on the point. I think that would be a good place for it. You just have to it's big and all that stuff. I think they'll put it backwards though. But do you got the dates?
I was actually looking up our next topic,
Oh, sorry.
but the draft dates, if I had to guess, it's probably in like April or May. That's
It's
usually when
always
it is.
one of the last weeks of April. NFL
It's
drafts.
April 25th to the 27th.
There you go.
So end of April.
So we'll be
Got
talking
it.
about it in April.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
We could even
All right.
just like have a whole live reaction by that point. We'll
Draft
see
special.
though. But we could have a draft special. We'll have a lot of fun stuff going on for the draft. I can't wait. We'll have our own mocks and everything. So stay tuned for draft time. But I believe that's it for the NFL. See, quick week NFL, more
Not even
balance.
10 minutes.
Not even 10 minutes for us, or maybe about 10 minutes max. But here's the big thing that happened over the weekend: the NBA All-Star break happened. So there were the skills competitions, the celebrity game, the official game. So we'll briefly cover all of it. I'll just ask you in general, how much of this did you watch?
I saw the dunk and I saw Steph versus Sabrina. And now I watched the
Okay.
All-Star game.
Okay. So we'll briefly skim through all of it. So there was the celebrity game, and I think the funniest moment was when Kai Cenat was wide open and the dude airballed it instead of passing it to him. That was probably the funniest clip I saw, but I didn't even watch it.
Yeah.
But Micah Parsons was a ball hog in that game. He had
won
like
MVP.
36 points. He won MVP, but it's a celebrity game. Let everybody else shoot it. He was hogging it. But Micah Parsons won the MVP.
Wait. Didn't Stephen A go to the hospital?
That was like
Did you see that?
beforehand. I guess he like slipped or something.
Against Micah, I think it was. All that Dallas
Yeah.
Cowboys trash talk got up to him.
Oh man, that's funny.
Before we get into it, what was your thoughts of it being in Indiana? Before we get into the skills competition, I want to hear your thoughts on the LED court too.
Ooh,
because
the LED court.
Let's talk about the LED court first before we get into the actual games itself.
Yeah, I think it's cool to test it like during a time like now, because it is very cool, like some of the stuff that they were able to do. But I could see it like being used well into the future. There would have to be a lot more testing before it's used regularly, and it's probably very expensive too.
Yeah.
But I didn't hate it, but then I think it's also up to the players as well.
Yeah.
Like if they
agree.
didn't use it for like the actual All-Star game, which I thought they would. I thought they were going to use it for the All-Star game, because at
it
that
was
point
in
nobody's trying.
Lucas Oil Stadium, and then the game itself
Okay.
was in the Pacers arena.
Yeah,
What's it called?
that was cool. I like that.
So I'm torn with it because I think it's cool, but also it hurt my eyes. That green color for Steph versus Sabrina and that 3-point, that starry color, because Starry promoted it, it just looked. Now, obviously, we weren't there. So in person, it could look 10 times better for all we know. We weren't there. But on TV, I will say, though, watching the slam dunk competition, like you would see like when Jaylen Brown dunked, like they changed it to the Celtics court and they had like trails following them, and then they had like their points and stuff on the floor. That was really cool. But also, I feel like you could do that with TV nowadays. Yeah. And then my only other thing is, I agree with you. It's up to the players. It looked like they were slipping on there though.
Yeah, during the dunk contest, it looked like Jaylen Brown was kind of slipping a bit.
Yeah,
but I don't hate it though. I like experimenting during a time like this.
Yeah,
instead
I think
of
it's the best.
A big game. So I don't hate it. We'll see. Maybe they'll probably get better with it, but we'll see. Some of the skills competition, also too, the G League beat the Young Stars. I didn't watch that game, so I can't really comment much on it. But the skills ones, I'm just going to highlight the three main things that happened because I don't have the results for every single skill competition. I'll just do the three main ones. The 3-point contest, Damian Lillard won it with a score of 26, and he went back-to-back 2 straight years. So congrats to Damian Lillard. Did you watch that or?
No, I didn't.
Oh yeah, you said you watched the other two, so we'll get to
Yes.
the other two right now. So I also didn't fully watch these, but I saw all the highlights and I saw the end of the slam dunk contest. So the next big one was Steph versus Sabrina, which had over 5 million people watching it at the time it happened. So big shout
I
out
was
there.
watching it.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, big shout out because it was probably the most exciting part of the whole thing. Like I was actually intrigued. I was watching Oppenheimer with my family during this. So I
Yeah.
wasn't able to watch it live, but I was looking at all the highlights when it happened. And big shout out though to Sabrina Ionescu and Steph Curry for doing this. And they're already teasing like, oh, what if they do like the Splash Brothers versus Sabrina and Caitlin Clark next year or something like that.
Splash
I think that'd be
Clay
pretty
and
cool.
him. Who's the Splash Brothers? Clay and Steph.
Klay Thompson and Steph Curry.
Yeah. How many points
But
does Sabrina have total?
she had 26, which actually was the same as Damian Lillard.
And here's the thing. I saw, because it was on TNT. I know nothing about basketball, by the way. So catch me if I'm wrong. I know Shaq's on it. And there's the one guy with the glasses. And then there's another one. He was a former player as well. And he was talking about how she should have shot from the women's 3-point NBA line.
Is it Kenny Smith?
Yeah, it was Kenny Smith.
The
internet was so mad at Kenny Smith for this. Did you see this? They were.
Yeah, I'd be mad too.
They were so mad. And he was like, she should have shot from it. And I'm like, she shot from the NBA 3-point line. I think her using the WNBA ball is fine. Just because scientifically, girls' hands are smaller than guys. So that ball is perfect for her. Now, her going to the 3-point line for the NBA, I think that was a great decision to show, hey, women can do it too, obviously. And she balled out. She would have tied Damian Lillard, like you said.
She did,
She did tie him. I think she did a great performance. Obviously, once Steph got hot, and it was done. Steph would have won the 3-point competition. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was personally fun. I would love to see Caitlin Clark and like them, the Splash Brothers next year. I think it'd be interesting, especially when Caitlin Clark joins, because we'll get to her, but she's going to be a face of the WNBA, and I'm so excited to see that. I really am. And I don't even watch the NBA or WNBA.
Yeah, I like them bringing in female basketball players during a weekend like this. Like, even just them using LED boards, I like them doing stuff differently at a time like this. So I'd say keep doing it. Sabrina coming in was nice, and that was a great competition between the two of them. You can easily do more stuff with female basketball players. So I think that's a great way to just help the sport in general to keep doing stuff like that. So bravo to both Steph and Sabrina. Great event. The final little skill competition that happened was the slam dunk contest, which has gotten worse over the years. Last year was kind of better, I would say, but it's never been the same since like Levine and Aaron Gordon and all of them. But this one happened. The top two, I was only able to watch kind of like the final round in a way. And it was between Matt McClung and Jaylen Brown. And a lot of people are mad with Jaylen Brown, who he had Kai Cenat, who is like maybe 5 foot tall. He had him sitting down, and he dunked over him, while Matt McClung dunked over Shaq.
So you're right. So here's what happened. So I watched it. First things first, the judges were absolutely horrific. Listen, I'm a Celtics fan, and Jaylen Brown didn't even have the best dunks of the night. I would say probably my favorite dunk of it was the last dunk. But let's fast forward to Brown versus Matt McClung, right? Jaylen Brown's first dunk was over Kai Cenat with Jason Tatum tossing him up the ball. Not bad. Matt McClung's for... You were going to say something?
I'm watching it on Instagram, that one. It has like 17,000 comments, and people are saying that dunk over Kai Cenat was the worst dunk in history.
Yeah.
Just because he's so small.
So then Matt McClung's first dunk, did you see the dunk with him? I forget who it was, where someone stood there, tossed him up the ball, and he caught it and then tossed it up to himself and then dunked it. That was probably the best dunk of the night. It wasn't even there, and it was like one of the second lowest scoring dunks. It was pretty low. Like
Mm.
Jaylen Brown beat him, which was
Oh,
crazy. And then the final dunks, Jaylen Brown had the MJ glove on his left hand to prove people, the haters, that he can dunk with his left hand, and he did. It was pretty good. And then Matt McClung dunked over Shaq and won the night. Here's my two thoughts. Number one, why was Matt McClung there? I know why he was there, because he was the former winner. They get invited back. Dude's in the G League. Why are we having the G League to dunk? You know, like, he shouldn't win, in my opinion. He's in the G League. But that's just me saying that because, you know, I don't know. Last year was a lot more impressive, and you can say, I know you watched it last year because you talked about it, because he was the underdog. No one expected him to win, and he balled out this year. Now everyone knew this year who he was, so it wasn't like spectacular. Second thing, I saw a take, and I kind of agree with this take. Lower the hoops. We've seen basically everything on a 10-foot hoop, you know? Like, lower them to like maybe 8 feet, and let's see like crazier things. Maybe like it would help. Also, I know I said two. The third thing, I saw another take where LeBron kind of ruined the dunk contest because we see LeBron dunk all year, and like half of LeBron's dunks are better than what you see in the dunk contest. Now, obviously, like Jaylen Brown's not going to pull out like the Michael Jackson glove, or like Shaq's not going to jump over. But I feel like if like Jaylen Brown got Wembanyama or something to dunk over, he would have won.
yeah.
That's my thoughts.
I'll remember Aaron Gordon dunking over Taco Fall when he got robbed. That was one of my favorite moments. I don't want to stay on it too long, but I'm going to give a brief little disagreement to one of your points with Matt McClung. You say that he shouldn't be in it. The reason why I disagree with you is I would agree with you if like the top NBA stars actually do it. Like, give credit to Jaylen Brown for at least actually doing it, because he's like the first big star to do it in a long while. But the best dunkers in the NBA don't even do it. Like John
That's
Morant,
true.
he would be incredible, but he doesn't want to do it. All the best dunkers don't want to do it. So the past couple of years, we've just been stuck with these mid NBA players with some very bad dunk contests overall. And then they go to the G League and get Matt McClung, who actually the past 2 years has had some of the best and unique dunks. So I would honestly say, just because of the low talent in the NBA in the dunk contest, I would actually say go to the G League, let some people kind of make a name for themselves. And if they can dunk better than the NBA players, then it's better TV, honestly, because the NBA players that do it anyway are typically unknown guys. So I don't hate the G League being involved in the dunk contest. That's my opinion, though. We can agree to disagree on that.
I can
But
see your point. Yeah.
yeah, like I would agree with you just if the legit NBA guys were doing it, like more than just Jaylen Brown, because he was like the
Yeah.
first relevant or elite player, I would say, to do
Sure.
it. But final thing that happened that we'll talk about, the actual All-Star game happened. And they went back to East versus West. The past couple of years, they've done it with like captains, and you had to get like a certain amount of points per quarter, and like the winner of each quarter like would win a certain amount for their charity. They went away from all of that, and they just went to the traditional East versus West normal game rules. And we got a game that was the most points, I think, maybe ever at this point. I can't confirm that.
It
But
is.
yeah, the East won 211 to 186, and the West team was so much better on paper. But we had this game. Just couple quick points. Carlin Anthony Towns had 50 points. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 31. Damian Lillard was the MVP with 39. Jaylen Brown had 36. Tyrese Halliburton had 32. Just some standout performances. But there is a lot of discussion with this game because nobody tries. And I think it was like 2020 where they actually did try, when they had that little Like you had to get a certain amount of points. They actually did try near the end, and it was kind of good. But this year, nobody tried. I honestly, I'll tell you this: I was planning on watching this, and I did start watching it, but I turned it off very quickly
I
because
would
it
have
was
turned
just
it
boring.
off,
It
but there was
was
nothing
just
on.
boring. Yeah, but do you think that there should be? I'll give my thoughts, but do you think that there should be changes to the All Star game, more incentives? Do you think there should be a change next year?
They should try, or at least like cut the quarters in half. Do like something because
But how
it
do you get them to try? That's the
you
question.
pay them,
Because
pay them
they're
charity,
millionaires. They're millionaires.
charity.
They did have a charity. They still didn't care. Both
Yeah,
sides were playing for a charity.
or in my personal opinion, just get rid of the thing.
Okay.
Like, you know, it's like they're not trying. Like, here's the thing: the only All Star game I think people actually try, and correct me if I'm wrong, is the MLB one. Granted, yeah, I can get high scoring, but they're just trying to hit the ball and run to the base and stuff. I mean, the home run derby is probably the best. I'm gonna say it is the best All Star game you have, like the mini game we have. I mean, the slam dunk would probably be the best if the slam dunk they actually cared about, but they don't. Um, but the home run derby is pretty awesome. But yeah, you got to do something. Or just get rid of the thing. They're not trying. I don't want to. Like I watched it and literally they're like 3 woohoo. Like they were doing half court shots and stuff, which I think is fun. But like
Yeah.
they don't care.
Yeah. So here's a proposal that I heard. So I'll say the proposal. I'll give my thoughts, and then I'll ask you what you think
Okay.
about it too. So I saw this online from multiple people. The winner of the game, whether it's the East versus West, the winner gets to host the championship. Whichever team is in the championship gets to host. So if the East wins, then whoever makes it to the NBA championship in the East gets to host, or like they get home court advantage. And so that gives an incentive because they'll actually try and it'll have an impact. Now, my thoughts on it, I like it because I think that's probably the best way to get people to actually try and to make the game worth it, I would say. Now, the caveat I would do is you got to make it like the NHL, where at that point, uh, every team needs to have an all-star, like represent. I think that would also have to be a case because let's say like the Miami Heat make it to the championship and there's no Heat players in the All-Star game, then it's like not fair because there was no representative. But I would say every team would have to have a representative. But I don't hate the idea actually because it's probably the best way to incentivize these people because they're all millionaires who are going into the All-Star game, so there's no money incentive. So I don't hate it. If you want to make it mean something, just in terms of making it mean something, I don't hate the idea. Or you could do what Carlin said, just scrap it completely and replace it with something else. But in terms of keeping the All Star game and a way to make them try, I don't hate the idea. What do you think about that?
I'm gonna twist the idea a little bit. Let's start with
Okay.
your those real quick. It's think about last year's though. You had the number 1 seed Nuggets versus the 7th seed Heat in the championship,
Yep.
which is that playing stupid rules, whatever. You would give the Heat the home field advantage, the 7th seed,
Yeah.
when the 1 seed directly earned it. You know, the only other thing
Yeah.
I could say is you could think of it this way, right? I mean, actually, I was going to say it wouldn't work. Like, let's say the East won, you know, I was
Yeah.
going to say the East would always have home field court advantage, but the East and the West never play each other and the
Yeah.
thing until the finals. I don't mind it, but would it convince them to play? And like, here's my other thought
Yeah.
too, right?
It would. I think
Would it? Because
would.
you think about it this way: you win the home field advantage. I think you should pick when you want it, because
Well, you can only get it in the championship because it's the only time it would matter.
Yeah, you would pick
There's
one,
no
two,
other point.
but you play games 1 and 2 at your stadium, 3 and 4 at the next, 5 and 6, 5, 6, 7. No one
You
holds
would
it for.
you would want it for 1, 2, 5, and 7. So the winner would get that.
I was gonna say, I guess out of everything, the seventh game is the most important until you're like god tier, and then like you're gonna sweep
Yeah.
them in 4 games. You're not gonna get the home field game when you sweep.
Yeah, home court though. Home court is very important. So I feel like just saying every team in like the West has a representative from their team playing in this game. They will all like have the best player on your team participate, and I think if you want them to legitimately try, I don't know if there is any other incentive you could do.
You could also do whatever team wins from which side is where the All Star game will be hosted next year. So like
Yeah.
you, well, you could say like like since the East one, you could have it in
Well,
Miami.
they won't care until the final minute then.
It's 160 to
They'll all ball
153.
hog. They'll all just be a ball hog at that point. Like they'll all just try to shoot it
Or they
at the
could say
last
you
second.
have to care when you play. Or
Yeah.
I mean the other. I mean it's all about getting the big names. If you get the lesser names, they're all going to try. You could be like, if you win, you get like $25,000. Like the rookies who don't have that big contract, they'll try.
Yeah. It's tough. It is. But then again, if you bring rookies, who's going to show up for that? That's
That's
the
true.
other.
But I mean, you could also have the stars coach. I don't know.
Yeah.
You would have to find some way.
I I would
I think
say,
it's
because I want to
stupid.
stay
Just
on
get rid
this.
of the thing.
Yeah. I would say, yeah, for the All-Star game, because I want to move on to the next stuff. Either one, get rid of it. Kind of like what the NFL did. They kind of just got rid of the game, made it flag football. Either one, get rid of it and just replace it with some smaller stuff. Or two, just do it with the most incentive possible, which is home court in the playoffs. So I think one or the other would not be a bad idea. So the standing updates, there's no need for a standing update because it was the All-Star weekend and teams don't play until Thursday. So you have a little break from the NBA until Thursday. And I know that the Lakers and Warriors play at 10 o'clock on Thursday, which should be an incredible game because last time these two teams played each other, it was cinema. Absolutely cinema. They went to overtime. So I highly recommend everybody watch that game. 10 o'clock on Thursday. I will definitely be watching no matter what. But next topic. And you made a TikTok about this team, and I wanted to talk about them a little bit. NHL. Our Pittsburgh Penguins had another loss, a heartbreaking loss to the Kings against a goalie who has not had a win in like 10 games. What do you think, Carlin? What do you think about our Pittsburgh Penguins
You
right
go
now?
first because I'm typing something up.
You want me to go first? Well, this team, they are 24, 21, and 7 with 52 games. Jake Gensel is out for multiple weeks, which hurts them in multiple ways. One, because he's one of their best players, and two, he was a top trade candidate. So if the Penguins decided to blow it up and give up on the season, they lost their top trade piece. Yeah, it's not looking good for the Penguins in any aspect. The power play continues to suck overall. Sidney Crosby, it feels like he is the only player who is contributing right now. It's a huge fall from grace from earlier in the year. Crosby leads the team in goals. Erik Karlsson actually leads the team in assists, but yeah, he has 31. So shout out to Erik Karlsson, one player also contributing. But it's mainly Sidney Crosby. He has 31 goals, 24 assists, leads the team in points. Jake Gensel was right behind him, and he is hurt. So I don't know, man. I've been optimistic with this team. I have been. Jari, he can be good and bad at points, but it sucks. and I talked about it a bit last week, but I don't know with this team. I don't view this team as a contender. And you look at the wild card, they're about 9 points out of a wild card spot. And it's not over. It's not over. This isn't giving up. It's not over yet. And
It's
also, too,
over.
the other thing, it's not over because also the Penguins have 3 less games compared to Tampa and Detroit, who have more games played already. So they could get points. Anything could change in hockey. That's the one thing. The St. Louis Blues a couple years ago, they were worst team in the NHL, and they were able to come back and win the Stanley Cup in the same year. You can get hot in the NHL. A team can get hot. A team can also get ice cold. The Penguins have had nice streaks during the year, but they've also had very bad streaks. I'm going to say there's still hope, but it would take going all in the trade deadline. But even then, I don't even know if it's worth it. So I feel like this team's going to stay put, and they already lost their Gensel piece. So I don't think they make the playoffs. If I had to guess right now, I don't think they make the playoffs. I think there's better teams that could compete, and I can't even believe Philly's still in the race for it. But I don't think this team makes the playoffs. But it's not officially over yet. So what do you think about this Penguins team?
How do you have this much star power and you're this bad? I went to a game. I went to the Panthers game on Valentine's Day for my sister's birthday. Shout out to my sister. And there was a goal, and someone had a high stick. It would have been the first goal. It was so close in the first period. It was 4 shots to 3 shots at the end of the first period. Pretty close, and then the Panthers ran away with it. And yeah, yesterday for us on Sunday, Yager night, celebrating Yager. Very cool ceremony. I don't know if you saw it or not, but honored him, and they sucked that night. Crosby had 1 goal, and that was on the power play. Very shocking. It was a one-timer. The Kings just beat him pretty good, 2-1. I don't know. And one of the goals was shorthanded. What do you do with this team? You can't trade Gensel. I don't think you should trade Gensel, but if you need the trade, you need to do it. It's a business after all. I keep joking that they should sell the team, but you got to do something at this rate, whether it's get a new head coach. I mean, you have the GM. The GM, he's this big guy. He hasn't done anything yet recently, like in mid-season. That's like massive. I think the Gensel thing was going to be massive, but now they can't get rid of him because he's hurt and he won't probably play until the trade deadline. I don't know what you do with this team. I really don't. I think you just pack it up and say next year's it. And you got to figure it out. You got to make them play good. They are one of the oldest teams in hockey right now. And against the Oilers, against the Panthers, against the Rangers, which I want to talk to about in a minute, against all these young teams, it's not helping your case. Yeah, you have the star power. You have guys who have won Stanley Cups. But if you're old and you're slow, that's an issue. So, we'll see.
Yeah. Big issue
I don't like Tristan
for the Penguins. Yeah, I don't know where this team goes, but something big did happen over the week, and I'll let you talk about it, Carlin, because I did not watch this game. Rangers versus Islanders Stadium Series. Cinema ending, you wrote.
Yeah.
Explain to everybody.
Did you see the ending for this?
I saw some highlights. It was actually trending very high on Twitter. So I was unable to watch it, though. I was busy that day.
I didn't watch it, but did you see how it ended?
You describe it to everybody while I watch it right now.
Yeah, go Google it because it's sick. So essentially, the Rangers were losing against the Islanders in the Stadium Series. I don't know what the final score off the top of my head was. I think it was 6-5 Rangers won, but it was like 5-4. The Rangers pulled their goalie. The Rangers are down on the net trying to get that final goal, and they get it, right? So they tie the game up, and it's 5-5. We go to overtime. There's like 10 seconds left on this clock. The Rangers are going down the ice trying to shoot. They shoot the puck, but the net gets dislodged, right? And it goes in the goal. and I think they called it a goal, but like they weren't sure. So they went to the tape and literally they said as long as the net has its integrity, not like sliding away and it goes in, it's a goal. Sure enough, it went in and that place erupted. The Islanders had the home field advantage. There were so many Rangers fans. They had like the Jets and the Giants there because Jersey, but it was sick. It was truly an incredible ending to an incredible series. I love the outdoor games. I think they're cool. My favorite one was the Lake Tahoe one where they played outdoors right next to Lake Tahoe. Probably one of the coolest ones. But it was a great ending to a fantastic game by the looks of it.
Yeah, I just watched a clip. The final score of this game was 6-5. The Rangers beat the Islanders. And Artemi Panarin was the one who scored the overtime goal. Seconds into overtime. Great all-around effort by Panarin. It was the defender Dobson had the puck. Panarin took it from him, finessed the goalie, Sorokin, and scored. Great goal by Panarin, one of the best players in the league. But, yeah, the Islanders right now, the Rangers are, what are they? 36, 16, and 3. Pretty good record, 75 points. The Islanders, you will love this stat, Carlin. 22, 18, and 14. So that means they have 14 losses in overtime.
That's awesome.
I just remember you and I had that long conversation weeks ago about the overtime points. We won't get into that now. But that's the Islanders record. But great Stadium Series game. Blackhawks and Blues have one next year. I covered that in last week's episode.
That's Fenway. And then actually, it just was announced the Blue Jackets and someone else. I forget who. The Red Wings. The Blue Jackets and the Red Wings are having their Stadium Series at Columbus Stadium in Ohio next year. That's where the Stadium Series will be.
All right. They are very fun to watch. Very fun to watch. Highly recommend you watch them. Final thing that I'll talk about with the NHL. This was just a cool stat that I saw. We're not going to do a whole standings update this week. But this game score was insane. You want to hear it?
Yeah.
10-7.
Oh, was this
the
Wild
Panthers?
The Canucks. The Wild beat the Canucks. Yeah, wasn't it like five goals were scored in 5 minutes? Something insane like that. Yeah, it might have been six.
There were 3 hat tricks. There were 3 hat tricks in this game. JT Miller for the Canucks had one. Eriksson Ek had one for the Wild, and also Kirill Kaprizov had one for the Wild. So, also 2 former Pittsburgh Penguins goalies played in this game. Casey DeSmith for the Canucks, who's the losing goalie, and Marc-Andre Fleury came in for relief for the Wild because their other guy got pulled, it looks like. So 2 former Penguins goalies were in that game. So shout out to that game in the NHL. But we're going to keep moving on to other sports news. A big one that happened. New EA college football game reveal will happen in May. The game will drop in the summer. And you sent me something about this right when it happened too. So thank you for sharing the info for me. But I'll just say my thoughts for this game, and then you could say yours. I'm scared that like it might just be like a full copy of like NFL Madden, but it's just college football. I think a lot of people are kind of scared with that. But then again, I don't mind Madden as much. It just comes down to the other features. I'm intrigued though. I've never played the college football game in my life, like the old one. So I'm intrigued to see how it works, but I'm excited for it. What do you think about it?
I think I played the beta for 14 when it was like on Xbox, when you could like download betas. I think I played that. But yeah, I'm excited too. I'm scared just because it's EA. And Madden's okay. There's so many stupid things with Madden though. Like you throw it past and the defender catches it, turn around upside down with the hands above his head and will somehow like pull it in. You're like, how is that a pick? But they are saying though that they're building this game from the ground up and that they went to stadiums all around the league, not the college, where like they went to Penn State and they got the Nittany Lion running out the Penn State tunnel with the players, and they went to like Wisconsin to like study jump around, and they're licensing. Hopefully, they said the big music to the song, so you'll get like jump around. You might get Sweet Caroline might show up. You might get Crankcraft. Although all these big songs might actually show up in the game, so I have hopes for it. I can't wait to rebuild like Iowa State and take them to like a 10-time Natty run in 10 years. It's gonna be fun. I can't wait to play. Hopefully you can do like franchise on it, like how you can do with Madden, where like me, John, and random people can all be a part of the Big Ten, and then like have people with the Pac-12, the Pac-2 actually, and then the SEC. Like I'll be Texas Longhorns. I'll be the Horns. Obviously John's gonna play as the Mountaineers and build them up from the ground. But I'm excited. We'll have to see what happens with the game. Stay tuned because we might do a reaction to Be on the Dome about it. It is a video game. Or we might do it on here. It's football. We'll see.
I'd say it'd be on here just because it's a sports game. So yeah. I would probably say it would be on here. So we'll definitely talk more about it when more news comes out. Other sports news. Caitlin Clark on Thursday. The day that last week's episode dropped, I believe. She broke the all-time women's scoring record for women's basketball. She broke the record. She needed 8 points in Thursday's game against Michigan. She decided to drop 49 points, 16 of 31, 13 assists that game too, 5 rebounds, 9 of 18 three-point shots, including a logo shot to get the record as well. That's probably like the best way possible to get the record. Like the best possible way. So major congrats. She's had a fantastic season. She's averaging 32.8 points per game. That's incredible. Can't see her total points, but like in her whole career, but she broke the record. She's a senior right now, though. I was told that she has another year of eligibility if she would want to take it due to COVID year. I heard about that. Now, people are saying that she's most likely going to go to the WNBA, but I guess it's not out of the question that she returns to Iowa if she wants to, which if she did, she could probably break the all-time scoring record for both men and women. So, I don't know. Any thoughts with Caitlin Clark in general?
So right now, she's on NIL deals that are worth about $739,000.
Wow.
Which isn't bad for NIL.
It's more than the salary probably for WNBA.
WNBA. And I have a feeling if she doesn't win March Madness, she's coming back. She wants to win it. She might, even if she does, she might want to two-peat it. But I think if she would win it, she might be like, you know what, I want it. I want to go out with winning it. But yeah, it is the biggest thing, obviously, that happens. And she's making the money. So we'll have to see what she does. I would love for her to come back and break both. She's awesome. She really is. She's so fun to watch. I've talked about her on the podcast in the past. Great recognition for women's sports as well. What a face she is. And I would love to see her against NBA players. Imagine her going up like against Klay Thompson and just cooking him, or Draymond Green.
Yeah. What's funny is I couldn't even tell you the top prospect in the NBA draft coming up, but meanwhile I could easily tell you the top women's prospect. So it's pretty funny. But I agree with you. If she loses March Madness, if Iowa loses March Madness, I could see her returning again. Like, let's say she came just close, like just so close and she lost. I could see her return to get that championship. But if she does win, I could see her move on to bigger and better things and grow the WNBA, hopefully, just as she's grown women's college basketball. But these next two things, these were your topics specifically. So for these next two topics, you can take it away.
Okay. Mike Trout informed the team that he doesn't want to get traded and that he wants to basically stay because if he got traded, it'd be the easy way out. So let's talk about it real quick. I saw this comment Real fans know that Trout and Radon played 60 games last year, were 39 and 24 before the injury, but whatever. That was on the TikTok I made, which is true. That is true, but also they finished below 500. And to that person who commented, yeah, you're right. I knew that, but also you don't have Shohei. You lost the biggest person in baseball. That is huge. I don't know if the Angels are going to be able to be contenders this year. I would love for them to prove me wrong, but I would have expected Mike Trout to be, hey, I'm out. Go to Philadelphia or something because he is from Philly. I don't know where he would go in Philly, but I'm low-key kind of shocked. So we're going to see what happens with Mike Trout. We'll keep updated with it. And we're going to keep updated with MLB in general. We got some MLB stuff in the works. Me and John have been talking about it, talking with other people about it, because MLB is the summer sport this year, and as always is the summer sport. And I'm not going to tease anything now, but stay tuned for MLB because we will have stuff on it. And John will hopefully watch MLB this year, so we'll see.
We'll see about that.
Any thoughts? I doubt you do, but
yeah, I don't got much thoughts on Mike Trout at all. But the Angels did lose Shohei Ohtani, so I am wondering how they will do this year.
Very true. All right, next thing real quick, because this actually just happened. The Daytona 500 winner was William Byron. He won. Actually, there was a huge crash, 8 laps before the end of it. So they obviously had to clear everyone out. And fun fact, they apparently stop the cars when there's a crash. You can't move. And they clear them all out. Everyone got out safely. But I literally just happened. So I thought to throw the note in it. Shout out to William Byron. Actually, it was also delayed. It was supposed to be yesterday on Sunday. But rain delayed it. Also, yesterday would have been the 23rd anniversary of Dale Earnhardt passing away while racing. So, thoughts and prayers as always. But yeah, shout out to William Byron for winning it.
All right, big shout out there. Some more news in the sports world. UFC news that happened. We have a main event confirmed for UFC 300. It will be Pereira versus Hill. I hope I said the first guy's name correctly. It is Alex Potan Pereira versus Jamal Hill. He is 13-1, Jamal Hill. And it is for the light heavyweight championship. It will be on April 13th. It is confirmed. And from the comment section, the first comment with 30,000 likes, this is bleep. I won't say the word. I'll keep this episode clean.
With an ED at that.
I won't say it.
Type the word in the chat because I'll just go on the UFC.
Just go on Instagram. It's the pin post. You can see it there. No, I don't see one positive comment with this main event. And I asked the UFC expert, Dan Smith, his thoughts on this. He said, it's a great fight. I don't think it's UFC 300 main event worthy. So he does not think that it's worthy of the main event of probably one of the biggest pay-per-views ever for UFC. I don't know much about these two. Personally, I'm not that big in the UFC. If we had Dan, he could give his full thoughts. But that is the main event. Also, UFC 298 happened over the weekend. And we have a new featherweight champion of the world. His name is Ila Topuria. I think his name is. Yep. Ila Topuria. He has won the featherweight championship. So shout out to him. Any thoughts UFC wise, Carlin?
I was not able to watch UFC. I know he was knocked out though. The one of the guy it was a 1-2-1 and boom. I was kind of shocked. I heard I wasn't up. I had to work the next day, so I couldn't watch it sadly. And I won't be able to watch the next UFC fight because I will be at a concert. But UFC 300, you will be watched.
Yes, will be exciting. So, a couple other things we're gonna We got about 5 minutes left, so I'm going to do a little speed run through these next couple ones. WWE pay-per-view coming up, Elimination Chamber. If you want to watch it, it's on Saturday, I believe, at 5 a.m. So it's an early one. So WWE fans out there like myself, definitely watch it. It should be exciting. Some Elimination Chamber matches should be fun. I'm trying to get Carlin into it slow and steady. He's paying attention somewhat to it right now. But if you want to watch it, it's on Peacock. So if you own Peacock, definitely watch it. 5 a.m. that you could watch it anytime afterwards. So that's happening over the weekend. WVU Sports, the men's team still sucks. A new week, the men's team sucks still. Another loss to Baylor this time. They are 8-17. They're playing UCF on the day that this drops, actually. So on Tuesday, they play UCF at home. That's going to be great. The women's team is good, though. The women's team remains good. They are ranked number 22 in the nation now after beating Oklahoma, who was ranked. So now they are going to be playing number 10, Kansas State, on Wednesday at 7:30. So definitely watch that game. It should be a big one for women's sports there, or WVU women's sports. That's all I got for WV Sports this week. Last things I want to talk about, and shout out to Dan Smith for sending this to our Instagram group chat. I'll mention it because it's a part of the discussion here. And you, me, and Dan, and also Carson, shout out to Carson, we saw Drake over the weekend, but the three of us had a little conversation about the Steelers, and we were talking about their quarterback position, so I figured I'd bring it to the podcast here. So, what should these Steelers do at quarterback in general? And something Dan sent us not that long ago. Bears quarterback Justin Fields is no longer following the Bears on Instagram. So that could be a sign that Fields is out. What do you think, Carlin? Should they should they trade for Fields? Should they get a different free agent? What should they do?
Who would you rather
the Steelers
have?
do it?
Fields or Wilson?
Or Wilson? Okay, if I had to pick between Fields or Wilson, probably Fields due to the upside.
I made a TikTok about it, and someone said, "Oh, Wilson, blah blah blah, like money and all this stuff." First off, Fields doesn't need paid yet, like a long term. He will following year, but also Fields is a lot younger. Wilson's 35. You have 5 years with Wilson. Granted, Wilson could take you to a Super Bowl, but Wilson isn't the 2010 Wilson we saw. Fields is still pretty young. I'd rather have Fields 100%. Then again, Tomlin said the quarterback's on the team. Then again, he likes Fields, so we'll have to see.
Now, would you do Fields or Kenny Pickett?
Fields.
Because if you get Fields, let's just put this into consideration. You get rid of a second round pick. You most likely have to get rid of Kenny Pickett at that point due to the cap, because Fields has a first-round contract, in a sense, and you would probably need to get his fifth-year option, too. So you would be saying you would take the risk of Justin Fields over going safe with Kenny Pickett.
Because Kenny's not it. I love Kenny,
okay,
but I don't think Kenny's it.
Here's what I think they should do. And I know you'll disagree with me, but this is what I told you guys. I told you and Dan this. Keep Kenny. Make this the all-in year, in a sense. Like, if you win it, or if you have a nice run, great, keep this core. But if this core just at most gets a winning record, then gets embarrassed in the playoffs, you blow it up. And I mean, no more Kenny, no more Mike Tomlin. Just blow it up, even though I feel like that won't happen. But that's what should happen. So what I think they should do, keep Kenny Pickett. Don't trade for Fields. Keep that second-round pick. And because I have faith in Kenny, is 1.25 game without Matt Canada was some of the best football he ever played. Keep him. Sign Ryan Tannehill. I know it's not popular. But he did very well in the Arthur Smith system, assuming Mason Rudolph's gone too. You sign Ryan Tannehill to be the backup, who can push Kenny pretty decently, I would say. Could push him decently. And you have Kenny Pickett for one more year. It says make it or break it. 3 years is the magic number for quarterback. And you have Tannehill behind him. That's what I think they should do. Do you disagree with that completely? Or
No, honestly, I've talked about this. It's out of my hands. Whatever happens, happens. I wouldn't mind either scenario. I think if we got Fields, you wouldn't be like, oh, we got Fields, really. I think you'd be like, okay, we got Justin Fields. But then again, if we keep Kenny and they go in the different direction, I'd be like, okay, they kept Kenny. I'm going to trust this team. Haven't let me down yet. Knocking on wood. So we'll see.
We will see. We'll definitely keep talking about it over the weeks because I bet that Fields trade will happen at some point with whatever team gets him. Very quick thought of this last point because we reached the hour point. A beat writer in the Pittsburgh area thinks that Deontay Johnson could be a trade candidate over the offseason. Do you agree with that or
yes,
not?
Get rid of him, please. Bro, turns around. It's I don't want him. I want him gone. If he's good, we could get better. Let's go. Get out. Go to Kansas City. Go win a Super Bowl. That's typically how it goes.
I feel like if Deontay Johnson went to Kansas City, he would actually do very well there. And
I know.
We would regret
That's
it.
what happened with. I mean, Bell wasn't fantastic in Kansas City, but he won a Super Bowl.
Juju.
No, Bell never won a Super Bowl in Kansas City.
It was Juju.
Juju.
It was Juju.
Yep. Juju.
Yeah.
Antonio Brown won a Super Bowl in Tampa Bay.
Yeah. I would say, this is my final thought, keep Deontay because I'm so tired of us drafting a wide receiver early and then us just losing them. Deontay's been like one of the receivers we've actually been able to keep. So until I see someone else step up like Calvin Austin, keep Deontay just for some consistency. Pray that Arthur Smith can revive some of these people. If not, then get rid of him. But that's going to do it for this week on Under the Lights. Thank you all for listening to this hour of sports discussion. I hope you all enjoy it every single week. We will have plenty of more topics next week, so definitely stay tuned for that. And I'm not going to say much else because Carlin and I, we have to discuss this week's schedule after we are done recording this. So I got nothing else for you all. We are going to have a discussion on what else will drop during the week. Definitely expect something on both Inside and Beyond the Dome for this week. So stay tuned. Follow our social medias for updates or just for any other content, especially our TikTok. So follow us on our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and our TikToks. You can find all of those links and all of our podcast platforms in our link in bio. If you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts or Overcast, go to the podcast website and click the link in bio. And even for our YouTube listeners, our link is in our bio as well there. So definitely check that out. But enjoy the week, everybody. We will have more content for you all, definitely. So stay tuned. But with Carlin Jacob, I am John Dodaro. Have a great day, everybody, and see you next time on Inside the Dome.